All right, we'll get started again. Welcome. Kind of announcements, what's coming up. Third Thursday, November 16th, we have Van Wyn. He's a Sony Senior Imaging Pro. He'll be doing landscape and nature photography, and he said he'd answer Sony questions while he was here. We have a fifth Thursday this month. We're going to just have a get-together at Victory Tap. So show up at Victory Tap. It's downtown Pflugerville, right on Main Street, which is essentially at the intersection of Railroad and Pecan. They were very nice to us the last time we were there and said, just come anytime we want to. We'll be upstairs towards the back, kind of out of the way. Let's see. Then there's Christmas Party and Awards, which will be the first Thursday of December. It will be here. Verlin, can you still hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. So Christmas party will be here. We'll get a sign-up list out for what we're bringing. Next competitions will be in January. January is always oldies. They must be 2 years old or older, so you already have your image in the bag. Process it, figure out what you want to show. Let's see, we need competition themes for the year. So I've asked Ed if he will open up input for that on the web. I would like to have some good themes like we had this year, or some from older, where they're a challenge. No, don't wince, it's not that bad. You can shoot something besides birds. And you may be able to shoot birds and compete with the themes. So also there'll probably be a questionnaire out, a poll looking for what you would like in speakers for the next year or presentations. There was some discussion, people would like to see demos. If there's something like that you're interested in. I have taken an executive decision and signed us up for a show next year. It's not until October, but it is at the Round Rock Arts Jester Gallery. It's at one of the county facilities. They have enough room for 24 to 50 prints to be hung. And what I'm going to suggest is we look for a group of people or an individual that can put up 10 or 12 that match a theme. So that would put the race drive photographers in one group and the birders in another group, and our landscape photographers maybe in a different group. Clay, do you have anything for us today?
Yes, Bill. Just again, another pitch. I hope for people to think about voting. We'll be putting out a ballot at some point so that we can vote on officers. We do need a nominee for vice president. And I think if we'll have our existing officers say whether they're going to run again. But we'd sure like to have people volunteer to be on these committees. We have a program committee, a competition committee, and I forget the third committee, but we have standing committees. So we could sure use some help.
Yeah. Having someone that can back up Stephen on competition, know how to drive the tools is going to be important. Stephen's doing double duty for us right now. I'd like to relieve him of some of the work there. He's also our treasurer.
Yeah. So we'll, and then the big deal about the December social, the holiday social is the awards that we give for the competitions all year.
Stephen, are you ready to go, sir?
Yeah,
Tell them I need to restart Zoom. They may need to
Verlin, did you guys hear that Ed's going to have to restart Zoom? So we're going to take a break and let him restart it. You may need to log in again.
Okay, we'll see how it goes.
All right. Later.
They're gone, but we're still here.
Yeah, it's Zoom. They didn't end the meeting for all, so they'll hopefully rejoin the same meeting that we're in. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Hello, Dennis.
Hello.
Mine started to open earlier and it showed Ed Pete, so I don't know what happened.
Then he turned to color bars and then he turned to black. Well, there's the four of us. Anybody got anything to show?
No, I finished my cookies, sorry.
All right.
Now I'm on to drinking a glass of wine to get through the Zoom,
There we
It's the only
go.
way.
Oh,
We didn't have to sign up again. Look.
We had our own meeting with our own competition and we won.
That's one. Yeah. Five-way tie, four-way tie. We don't count
Does
it.
everybody see the competition screen out there?
Yes.
Okay.
We're being quiet now.
Maybe.
All right, here we go. Basic 6 images. Silver Star. Peacock Fan Dance. We Little Wizard. Crested Blue. Red Penta. Juicy persimmon inside. All right. Silver Star.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. This thing on? Okay, so we're gonna preface this a little bit and talk about what happened differently with the judging this month. So the executive committee has spent some time going over how judging occurs for the images, and so I'll give you the net, which is that. Yeah, I'm not really loud in the speaker over here. I'm hoping I'm okay on the microphone. I don't know if Clay, if you can turn me up in the speaker at all. Check. A little bit more. Okay. Okay. And I'll pull out my conference call voice. So what we did was the three of us individually took a gander at the images for basic and intermediate. And then we got together and talked about them. And so we tried to align our vision or our view of the judging of the images so that we all made sense, so that one of us didn't feel like one was here and one was here, whatever. We wanted to be working together, and it actually worked really well. We had a good time the other night talking through all the images and came up with, I think, a very agreeable result overall. And so what you're seeing then is the aggregate of our work together, and we're hoping that this is going to be more satisfying for everybody rather than surprising. Okay, so you're also going to see tonight probably a little bit more of a teamwork approach to some of the commentary, because we've agreed that given the way the last few meetings have been, there's room that we can maybe pitch in a little bit more talking up here as we go through the images, given the number that we have. So we wanted to share that information with you. Am I leaving anything out, guys?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Is there a video for the speaker? I'm seeing black for Ed and nobody talking that I can see.
Ed's raising his hand, sorry.
We're anonymous.
A disembodied voice, that's what you're getting tonight.
Okay.
He's just a
Okay,
nid.
yeah, if he gets it working, it'll be great. I'm sorry.
Oh, titles and images.
Okay,
No, I don't. Oh, I gave it to Stephen. We have gone through over the years, titles don't matter, titles matter. I think the titles help us understand what the maker intended. So we need to give a little thought to them. They shouldn't just be the name of the subject or the file name in your system.
image 894.3,
14-77.
that too.
Yeah. All right.
Okay,
I think you're up. since
Okay.
This is your image.
so Silver Star. Okay, Silver Star. So with the basic, we had 6 images in basic, and they're all going to get discussed tonight. So that works out well. Okay, so my summary up here, I'll just kind of talk through this. So the theme was, or the goal here was macro work, right? So we're trying to go tight in on something small, ideally something small, to really focus on something. And so there are things here that I thought were successful and elements that I thought were unsuccessful. For me, with this silver reflective material, the most successful thing here for me were the bands of light, the colored light on the top and the left. Okay, that's what draws my eye in this image. If I look at the center, we're losing focus because we're out of that plane of focus. We've got some blur. If we look over to the right, we're a little bit blown out and a little bit of glare and glow around that portion on the right hand side. And the bottom's kind of dark and not quite as bold. So up at the top and right is the higher contrast and the more interesting visual elements to me. I'd like it cropped to that. Okay, I think that the goal here, especially with macro photography, is I see something tiny here. I want you to look at. Show me what you want me to look at. Right? Focus on that and crop. Get the picture of the interesting thing and make sure I'm looking at what you want me to see. So my assessment on this is based on what I think the maker wanted me to look at. And so that's what I did. And that's what my comments are about. So in some aspects successful, some not so much, but you know, it's a cool first start. And you know, I think there's some cool stuff here.
Peacock fan dance.
The choice of this subject was, you know, right up the middle of the road for what we're looking for in macro or close-up photography. I think our theme said, get close, very close. The colors, saturation, it just grabs your attention. You want to look at this. But I'm always kind of dig into the technical side of this. And as soon as I started looking closely, there's little bits of the barb that are broken off that are floating in there. There is another feather in the background that I don't know why it's there. It doesn't really contribute. If anything, it distracts. And the maker could improve this quite a bit by just getting the feather off of the background. If you can see the shadow there, if it was separated from the background, you wouldn't have that strong shadow. But an image that succeeds in impact, it grabs you right off.
Yeah, we had some disagreement over this image on the broken elements. If you look in there, there are a number of pieces that are broken. And we talked about that quite a bit.
Yeah, Yeah, we looked at this and, I mean, my take on it was, it's a very nice image. You know, we have 2 microphones. So it's a, very nice image, and I agree with Bill. The maker could have pulled the primary feather off of the background, just slipped a dark blue cloth behind it, and just, that would have made it stunning. So just little things, I mean, to help, nothing other than that.
I took some extra time and dug into the metadata on these images. And though this image is fairly wide open, it's tack sharp.
Yeah.
And I think that's because it's a planar image. The whole
Plane.
focal plane is.
Right, and so doing that by trying to elevate the feather away from the sun, that's going to add challenges to the shot to try to get everything in that same plane, because it will droop or what have you.
Yeah.
So definitely a different kind of thing. I would encourage the maker with this: great subject, great color, explore, play, experiment, because there's a lot here that you could have fun with, and who knows what you come up with. I don't know that they didn't. I'm just saying this is the kind of thing that I think is worth playing. Okay. All right, enough to chat.
Yeah. Wee Little Wizard.
Oh, yeah. The wee little wizard, yep. As I stated here, having his portrait made. It's a nice image. There's a little bit of directional lighting on it for a portrait, but not much. On the right-hand side, we can see there's a little bit of highlighting. The main thing that got me was there's, as on this screen, it seems to be reasonable focus. When I saw it, there was a lack of focus and softness in this. And so it's a fine photograph of a statue. And technically that's what it is, but I don't see a lot of aesthetics with it, and that's one of my issues with it. The maker could have perhaps lowered the lighting and gotten a little more shadows into it somewhere on the left-hand side, that type of a thing.
To stop down, because this was shot at 2.8.
Yeah. So yeah, you stop down at to 11 or 16, you're on a tripod. Doesn't matter what shutter speed you use. So
If you have enough light.
then you have ISO.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah. So, but that's where I was on this. So it's a nice image. And the other is that there's no reference point to know how big or how little this wee little wizard is. So
How do we know he's wee?
well, it says that he's wee,
I know.
and I even spelled wee wrong.
So we're trusting the maker.
We are.
Okay.
I see. We could move on.
Can I use this as a pillow?
Crested Blue.
Okay, so this, first of all, I think the color in this is fabulous. I don't think I've seen this species in person before, but it's a great color. The palette is fantastic with mostly the blue, and there's a bit of green in the tops, and the pink for the spines. Lots and lots of fun. For a textural image, I don't feel like there's enough texture to really give me a sense of it's all about the texture. So what I wanted to know was what the maker was trying to get me to look at was, do I need more of the cactus? Do I need less of the cactus? I wasn't really clear on the intent here. I think some cropping on the left and the top might be suitable, or bottom rather, left and the bottom might be suitable. Maybe, I don't know. I didn't really play with it, so I can't say for sure. But I think that I really felt like it wasn't clear what I was supposed to be looking at. The detail, on the hand of what is there, is amazing, and so I think that there's a lot of really successful elements here. Lots of successful elements here. So I think technically the maker's done a really terrific job in this image. I would just like to have a better sense, maybe with some vignetting or dodging and burning or cropping, of what it was I would like what the maker would like me to look at.
Yeah, I would also say that is to crop in, or if the ability to zoom in, and because I think the spines, the area of pink where the spines are coming out is quite interesting in this image. And then you've got, I've lived in the desert too. I've never seen this, species. That's an interesting cacti though. I mean, so it would be, yeah, it's just a touch overexposed, but that's about where I'm at.
Next.
Onward. Yes, thank you, sir.
Red Penta.
Like the previous image that I talked to, the colors in this one grab your attention immediately. Bright reds, greens, pinkish purples. Even the framing of it is pleasing. But as soon as I look, I see the sharpness at the tip here and the little points, but I'm left wanting to see more of what's in the lower left-hand corner, and it's just completely lost focus. The metadata said this was shot at F1. I didn't. No, my note's bad. My memory's bad today.
I'm reading over Bill's shoulder. It's where it says 10 on his paper. So,
but other than that, the camera configuration looks pretty nominal. It's a fairly wide lens at 32 millimeters. Gary, you look like you were going to say something.
No, just not taking.
Juicy persimmon insides.
Okay. So this was for me a very interesting image in that one, the color is great. I think the orange and the yellows are just gorgeous. And we don't often, I mean, when we do food, it's usually composed dishes. So here we've got a piece of fruit where we're looking at something inside, which I think is really, really fresh and interesting. My problem with this image is that I think I know what the maker wanted us to look at, which is the texture in the flesh, those diagonal lines, which are really, really cool. But all that stuff around the edge is really distracting. Okay, so for me, crop in on those on just the flesh, and let's focus on that as an abstract and forget everything else. Give us the title to let us know we're looking at a piece of fruit, and then show us just the part you want us to look at. And I think that would be a more successful combination. Again, technically though, with the focus and the color and the detail, all really super. But lacking in there's that word again, focus. Focus on what we're supposed to look at. This is a problematic word. Yeah. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay. So let's see what the judges had to say.
I thought we already did. Oh.
All right, so we had two. So second place goes to Cody Addison for Crested Blue. And first place goes to Clay Levin for Peacock Fan Dance.
Well, we didn't make him cry, so. Could we try harder?
And let's see what the people had to say.
Can I just say quickly on the feather?
This is the little guy in the wizard thing. This is his size.
No. Yeah, we can't see it.
I just want to say that Lightroom Adaptive Focus for the first time, that new AI feature, it really sharpened that feather up.
So for those of you on the Zoom call, Clay was mentioning that he used the adaptive focus feature in Lightroom to sharpen the peacock feather up. It did a good job.
It looked great.
Right, People's Choice Bronze. Dennis Eisenberg. For Wee Little Wizard. Wee Little Wizard. Silver goes to Clay Lieben for Peacock Fan Dance. And gold goes to Cody Addison for Crested Blue.
Cody's here.
Oh, you want to give us a piece of information on it?
Sure. So I think it's a crested blue cactus. I actually forgot to take a picture of what that actually was when I was at the nursery taking a shot of it. So it was at the water gardens. Yeah, I agree with the feedback. So I played a lot with it, and the color is a little bit more blue than it was in person, but I just thought it looked better. And then I did struggle a lot with cropping to figure out what, like, because I tried it in further and it just didn't look right because it felt like I was cutting too much out. But then when I opened it up a little bit, and so it's probably worth going back and trying to shoot it again, but I just didn't have that. But I thought it was a cool enough shot, so I went with it.
Okay.
So, and then the red Pinta one, so that one, it's a manual focus lens. So I didn't shoot it at f1. It was I think it was either at f2.8 or f4. But it shows up in the, and it's a 65 millimeter lens, but it just shows up as that in the metadata. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Intermediate. All right, we got 22 images. We'll do the quick scan. First one, Mara caterpillar on milkweed. The fly. Arrivals and departures. Pretty in pink. As you're right. Last pollination of the year 2023. Yellow daisy. Cuddle time. Little visitor. Lantana. Untitled -DSC 6866.jpg.
Title.
Sunflower visitor. Behind the busy bee. Neon skimmer 211-70673. Seashell DSC 41990.jpg. Painted Lady of Austin. Bees in my bonnet. Three inches. It is a very good height indeed. American Bumblebee. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Nestled. Seed pod. All right. Monarch caterpillar on milkweed. Okay. Next.
Milkweed tastes bad.
Always a bad taste in your mouth.
The fly.
Okay, so the only thing it's an interesting photograph, and I applaud the maker for doing it. Technically, it's a nice picture of a pesky insect, you know? I'm not gonna get into the technical things and the exposure and everything else. I just wanna ask the maker, how did you get the fly to stay there while you walked up with your camera? Flies are not known for just hanging around, you know? That was, you know, so, but yeah, it's a nice photograph of a pesky insect. I mean, you know.
Arrivals and departures.
Okay, even though I wasn't assigned this one, I think that this is a grand idea. I like the concept that the person built a set for their characters. They've got everything there. They've got the baggage claim rotundas. They've got the wall in the background. They've got cars sitting there. I think it's a great idea. From an artistic side, I think it's fun. It's just a lot of fun. Technical side, the focus is in the wrong spot. The focus is on the transistors and capacitors and whatever they are in the background. Whereas the people should have been a little bit sharper in focus. But I would just encourage the maker to continue to work on this kind of concept. I mean, there are other people out there that do dioramas, and it's a pretty cool thing to do if you can do it right and do it well. One last thing, you might try, I've never done this, but you might try like a pen light, like a AAA light, and put a piece of paper over it with a pinhole in it and make it a directional light. And maybe use 2 or 3 of them and start to light it that way. But yeah. I think it's a cool idea.
Yeah, so this one was mine, and we actually had quite a bit of discussion about this, the 3 of us, and wanted to make sure that we were very fair in our treatment of the image. Excuse me. As Patrick has pointed out, the biggest problem with this image is that the focus is on the capacitors and resistors and blah, blah, blah in that back left corner, all right? And by association, the heat sink that's next to it. And then the background that's right behind that, that's all crisply in focus. And so the people, the cars are lost. Compositionally, I'm with Patrick. Somebody was trying to set up a scene here. Great, I think that's fantastic. Compositionally, though, you've got these very strong colors in the lower right corner, the blue car and the yellow minibus, and then you've got these green and orange red elements in the upper left corner, and unfortunately, the contrast against the black in the upper left corner draws the eye more than the blue and yellow car in the front, and so. Not just the focus, but the contrast brings us to the wrong thing in this image. So some work with, as Patrick pointed out, the lighting, I think might help. A little bit work in post, we could tone down the back. The maker could work on the heat sink and the circuitry and make them darker, make them less saturated, and kind of take emphasis away from them, as long as the models are what's in focus. That's got to be where you start. But terrific idea, terrific elements in here, so much here to love. That I think is really very successful in many respects, but some fundamental errors in the execution, unfortunately, detract. And I think we kind of agreed on all this, but we talked about this one a lot. It's a fun idea, fun. You can go to Amazon and buy the little people. You don't know that, okay?
Yeah, if the maker wants some help with directional lighting and very focused lighting, I have some tools for that.
Ooh,
Yeah, so cool stuff.
Bill has toys.
Bill has toys.
These are homemade toys.
Oh.
Pretty in pink. Azurite. Last pollination of the year, 2023.
This one initially, you just have to look at the bee, and then you look at, or the insect, I guess it's a bee. And then you notice that in the harsh sunlight, you actually see the details of the feather as a shadow. But as you look further, and oh, by the way, this again has the impact. It draws you in immediately. You see the color, you see the bee in the background. But I always fall into the technical on this. As soon as I look a little more at it, there's a very harsh shadow of the center part of the flower that is almost grabs as much attention as the bee does. It's equally dark. The yellow pollen could be a little sharper and could share some attention. The background of this image was probably pushed a little hard to get rid of it. There's some artifacts around the upper left-hand side and some down on the bottom right. I know it's hard to get insects like this to stay still, but you could have used a scrim to take some light off of the top of this. You may have lost the silhouette of the wing, but it would have probably made the rest of the image more acceptable. Anyone else?
Yeah, I think a diffuser would have been great if they could have put that over the flower and just cut down some of that light a little bit and kind of soften the whole thing. Me personally, I found the shadow of the pistil stem or whatever, the shadow that's descending from the center interesting, but the problem is that it doesn't. The weight it's very heavy. It wants to grab your eye, and while it's interesting, it does detract from the bee, which I think is supposed to be the subject.
An interesting factoid about this image: it was shot at 300 millimeter.
So 3 feet.
Somebody was backed off, so they weren't disturbing the bee.
Yeah.
They were shooting a high shutter speed.
Yep.
Depth of field is nice, and it's only 6.3 aperture
So
and an ISO of 100. So
yeah.
Nicely done, technically there.
Yeah, the colors are great too.
Yeah.
Colors are fabulous.
Yellow daisy.
Yeah, the yellow daisy. I think it's a great photo. It's got lots of detail to it. My eye just is still, when I look at it, searching to try to find where I'm supposed to look. The yellow is pulling me away from the center, but the maker is making me look in the center because that's where it's in the center of the photograph. And my eye keeps going back and forth visually, trying to figure out where I'm supposed to look. I love the detail in the petals, the little bitty ones that are curling over. You've got some droplets of water here and there. I think that's fantastic. And then if you really take a lot of time to look inside the center at the seed. I guess that's a seed pod in the center, similar to a sunflower. There's all kinds of information in there and fun things to look at. So I just thought it was a interesting picture, but it's interesting, and I'll use the word kind of disturbing at the same time, because my eye can't figure out where I'm supposed to look. So.
Huddle time. Little visitor. Lantana.
I'd like to talk to the lantana. Lantana is one of my favorite subjects for macro photography because there's so much detail in the image. And this one is a bloom that I'm not familiar with. At least I don't have it in my yard. So it really grabs your attention. The colors are right up there. The framing of the leaves and the cluster flowers is nice. There's a couple of blossoms in the back that might have been better plucked than left. Certainly the bottom, the one at the lowest to the right, just it's not up to the quality of the others. But having spent time looking at the lantana blossom through a macro lens, I'm missing the detail in the center of the blossom. Those little pillow looking things have spikes all over them. There's just immense detail there. And the focus looks like it's a little behind that, and the focus is in the leaves where we don't really need it. Gary?
Bill, I don't have much to add here. To me, the focus is on the leaves. The focal plane is on the leaves, which has all kinds of detail in it, and then we lose. We've got a lot of softness in the tiny flowers, and so compositionally, it's a very interesting image, and I like that blurry background way back there. So well put together. But the question in images like this for me is always, what am I going to focus on? What is going to be in focus? Because you don't have a lot to play with. So you have to choose in something like this. Is it the leaves? Is it the center of the flowers? Is the flowers up front? Is it the flowers in the middle? What are you going to get in focus if you're not going to focus stack?
I was about to say focus stack is probably a real good option here.
But
But when you focus stack, you have to be careful not to stack too deep.
Right.
Because if you let the camera run wild, it'll have those leaves in focus too.
Right. And so here, something like getting the flowers in focus and letting those leaves be a little bit blurry is going to keep that focus where you keep the visual emphasis where you want it, I think, is a way to put it. All right, I'm done.
All right. Untitled -DSC space 6866.jpg.
Okay, I'm
Cheese grater.
more kindly known. I was informed when we got together on the phone that this is a cheese grater, and I was like, really? I thought it was somebody decided they wanted to do the Andy Warhol Campbell soup cans, because if you look at it carefully, there's a diffuser that was put over the light. I'm assuming that's what the gray squares are in these, and that's I'm sticking to it. That's all there is to it. But every one of them is different than the next one. This is the first time I've seen it this large, but when I saw it on my screen, I started looking at it, and it's like, this is a bizarre image. It's just a fun image. It has that Warhol kind of esque to it of everything's the same but not the same. I think I've got what else did I say? Oh, if the maker could have perhaps boosted the contrast a little bit, because there's some really interesting information down on the, I'll call it the substrate, where the flat surface is. There are striations and nicks and cuts and everything else that could have been popped out here. This is something that you could change the lighting on and get a whole different effect. So I think the maker has a beginning of a really interesting project.
Yeah, since those are holes in the center of that, you could light the background and get each of your little squares to be colored.
Yeah, so I mean, this is, I think the maker should, if you're into doing a series of images, I would start with this one. This is cool. Because it's just, it's got a lot going for it. You can do all kinds of things.
Sunflower visitor. Behind the busy bee.
Okay, so this one is mine. So we had a bit of disagreement on this one because some of us felt that we should see the bee's face. And some of us felt that it was okay to see the bee's backside because of the detail that is captured in this image. So I was in the latter group. So for me, the color, the composition, all very interesting, very successful for me. It is a view of the bee that we typically ignore because the bee's busy doing its thing. But I really appreciate those white bands and that detail in its fur. I guess it's fur, coupled with a little bit of detail in the leaf that's above it. I think is really interesting for me, and I am presuming the maker wanted us to look at that detail, and so I believe that that's what is attracting the eye. So I think the image is successful in that way. We disagreed on it's an image of the backside of a bee. So you guys want to comment on that part?
No, it's the backside of a bee. But the control of depth of field and the sharpness in the detail on the bee's back is stellar.
Yeah.
And the fact that the bee's backside is the only thing that's really in focus, and the flower and the greenery behind it drop out quickly.
Right.
Yeah, I would have, the only technical thing maybe is to knock down the highlights on the wing a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little glaring.
Yeah, but that's
Kind of,
it.
but other than that, yeah, the bouquet is great.
Yeah.
The background's great.
Neon skimmer. Seashell.
You can read the whole
You gotta read
title.
the whole title, come on.
No, he doesn't.
Seashell-DSC 41990.jpg. Oh,
Painted Lady of Austin.
go back.
Oh,
Were you gonna talk about it?
Yeah, I was gonna talk about it.
oh, okay.
We-
Jones, get to work.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I'm trying to get myself out of technical things and look more at form and color. And so I think that this is a wonderful photograph with lots of texture. The rotation of the seashell, which we all are used to seeing, but I think it's really quite good. The only thing that I would have asked the maker to have done was to focus, maybe have a larger depth of field on this so that you could get more in focus, use focus stacking if that was available to you. But I think in general, it's a wonderful photograph, well lit. We get to see all the detail in the shell where it is in focus. And there's the circular nature of the seashell takes you right to the center point. So I just like it.
One comment here is, if you have opportunity to look for a better quality shell that's not chipped out in the center of your image, that would make the image quite a bit more appealing. Subject perfection, though it's really not the photographer that is responsible in many cases. When you're shooting a small subject like this, where you actually choose the subject, strive for perfection in your subject.
Painted Lady of Austin. Bees in my bonnet.
Just step back to the bees for just a second. We had a discussion about plural on bees.
There are 2 bees there.
There are multiple bees there. There's one up in the center top.
So I'm blind in one eye and I can't see out of the other.
Go ahead, Stephen.
All right, this one's fine.
3 inches. It is a very good height indeed.
So for me, this is very Alice in Wonderland for me. Just the caterpillar on the mushroom. Compositionally, the inclusion of the decaying matter on the left, the bottom left, the leaf on the bottom right, it looks like another same caterpillar as the other one on the top. And the mushroom fruit, and this nice blurry background. And so I like the composition and the elements that are included. The problem here is that it's the front of the mushroom that's in focus, and everything behind it is slightly out of focus. And so it's not clear that the technical elements match the maker's intent. And I wish it did. You know, I think that some work here with getting maybe a little bit larger view and getting that caterpillar a little farther down and getting that caterpillar in focus would have created a more successful image, because I want to look at the caterpillar, and the problem is I keep looking at the mushroom, and I'm pretty sure that's not what the maker intended. So, so much here that's really cool. Like, did we put the caterpillar on the mushroom? Did we find the caterpillar on the mushroom? You know, how did that all come to play? Because caterpillars and mushrooms are notoriously uncooperative. They don't. Mushrooms just kind of happen out in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, lots here that could have been really exceptional. Unfortunately, isn't. And it's too bad.
American Bumblebee.
I like this one just based on the fact that the bumblebee looks like he's gonna come and don't bother me. I've got business to take care of. And if you do bother me, I'm coming after you, you know? So I think it's a wonderful photograph in that sense.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Nestle.
This one goes beyond what we normally see in our competitions, in that not only is it a good photograph, the subject was created and very carefully managed to tell the story of the 2 cuddled, no, they're mountain laurel seeds.
Okay. No.
So it's nicely done there. The background is controlled. The seeds are sharp. The colors are nice. The image was shot at f4 and from a tripod at 1/15 of a second. Yeah. Nicely done. There is a little lack of sharpness on the leading edge of the image. I would have liked to have seen just a little more sharpness. So going in, I saw everything sharp, and as we went to the back of the image, nicely done on the control and depth of field.
Okay. Seed pod.
All right, I will talk to this one also. There is just unbelievable detail as you dive into the image. I assume this was controlled lighting because as you look deeper into it, everything is illuminated, you see it. There's sharpness front to back in the center of it. The red is just something that this little extra as you look around the edge, you see the red. It's right at the edge of the acceptable focus at the back, probably not a big issue. Looking at the screen, the vignette's pretty harsh. On my screen, the vignette was very nice. I don't know whether it was done in post or whether it was done in the lighting of the subject, but really nice control of the environment for the subject.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, so while he's getting ready here, I'm gonna say this. There were a lot of strong images in this class this month. And we have had to go to nitpicking, honestly, to distinguish or to separate them. There were images like any other month, this would have been the top tier. And unfortunately, sometimes there was something that was slightly better. It's not that any of these images are particularly bad and overall, it's that this is a really strong month.
Which actually speaks to the members of the club improving their skills and their craft, which is excellent. That is what this is all about.
Okay. Judges, we got 3 honorable mentions and first, second, and third. We'll start with the honorable mentions. First one, Michael Knox, Monarch Caterpillar on Milkweed. Next one, honorable mention, Rose Epps, Bees in My Bonnet. Honorable mention, Shelton Maltzar, Sunflower Visitor. Third place, Ty Lehman, Behind the Busy Bee. Second, Donna Smith, Seed Pod. And first place, Arlie Pfeiffer, Nestled.
Microphone.
I did this one with my, I think it's my 55, my 18 to 55 Zoom with an extension tube, which I can't remember which extension tube I used, but my focus was to be right on the front edge of that red pod, that first one. So, and my intention was to get a lot of blur in there as well. So I was trying to copy Carol Schiraldi. But thanks.
Wow. Beautiful.
All right. I know Donna's on there. Tell us about the Seed Pod.
Stephen. Yeah, a lot of that was done in post. I know. A lot of that was done in post. It was a pretty ugly seed pod to begin with, but I just kind of put some highlights on the white parts and popped out the color a little bit. But yeah, the vignetting on the screen here looks a little dark too. So yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
All right. No, Ty's not here. Shelton?
Hey, yes. I was actually out photographing sunflowers, and just so happened this
guy landed right when I was taking these photographs. So I had opportunity to do that. I would also say, Patrick, on the one that you asked about a fly, why it was so still. If you look at it closely, you'll notice that it's actually feeding. There's a little bubble on its mouth. What I found about insects is if they're feeding, they tend to stay pretty still unless you actually go mess with that.
Okay,
So
cool.
Rose Epps. Is Rose here? Doesn't look like it. Michael Knox. All right, we will move on to the advanced. Oh, yeah, there is.
Oh, yeah, that.
People's choice. Maybe. Let's show images. All right, people's choice. Bronze goes to Arlie Pfeiffer for Nestled. Silver goes to Donna. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
All right, we need to know what kind of bird this is.
And that was an accident because it got too close to my camera. It's some kind of duck, ugly looking duck.
And gold also goes to Donna for the seed pod. All right, now we'll go to the advanced. All right, advanced, we had 7 images. And these were all judged by PSA. And the judge's name was Dennis Hirning. And he sent me a 12-page bio. And basically he lives in Montana with his wife and dog. So that's the quick summary.
Okay.
Lovers. The leaves fall. Spring and fall. Assassin Beetle Puppet Show. Yeah, I don't know why the titles aren't. 1977 CPU chip.
Well, at least we know what it is.
Any other name? Carpenter Be Up. All right, so let's see what the judge had to say about lovers. You have a great idea by arranging the matchsticks so the heads form a heart. The figurines work well as a subject, and they are tack sharp. You might have tried stopping down your lens to see how much you could have gotten in focus. The out of focus sticks in the foreground don't seem to be a distraction to me, but I would like to see more focus on the back ones. A little burning on those would have drawn more attention to your subjects. I mean, making the sticks darker, not lighting the matches. The leaves fall. I am not sure what was done, but it does give an interesting pattern. To me, it looks more like water on glass or a wall, or maybe even ice than using leaves. I'm not sure about including a diagonal line from the top to the bottom. What do you think about cropping it off to just include the leaves? I might increase the contrast to show more of the tonal range from black to white. Let's see, spring and fall. This is very sharp, showing the detail in the subject with the soft focus on the background, keeping it from being a distraction. Since this is a symmetrical subject, I might consider breaking the rule and crop off the mainly blank area on the right side to center your subject. To me, it seems out of balance with it included. You might try removing the black triangle in the lower left corner since it doesn't tend to draw the viewer's eye away to it. Assassin Beetle Puppet Show. Good capture. I'm glad that we don't have this critter around here yet. You have great sharpness showing the detail. I like that you have left room for the action to move into the frame. Is that ant helping to hold the victim down? Would you consider toning down the orange color, or do you think it isn't too much of a distraction? Question mark. (1977) CPU chip. This is sharp throughout the image. I like the choice of background with just enough detail and reflection to give it depth to the subject. The angle that the chip is placed adds interest. I am afraid that I don't have any of these to look at to see what the detail might be on the other side. At least I don't think a couple of old computers I still have tucked away are this old. Is there some interesting items that might show if this was turned over to show the backs? Any other name? I do like the view of the back of the bloom. It is something that is not shown very often. I like the out of focus lines for the background. I don't think that the out of focus bud in the foreground adds anything to the subject. The eye is really drawn to it by the yellow area along the bottom. I would also like to see enough depth of field to see the stem going across the flower is sharp. And last, carpenter be up. Subject is well placed in the composition. The diagonal line of the flower leads to the eye into the image and back to the bee when the line stops before the border of the frame. The colors complement each other very well. It is very sharp throughout. It does appear to be at least half a stop underexposed according to the histogram. There is detail that is lost in the black. All right, so. Judge. All right. We have two, just first and second. Second place goes to Nick Grossman for Lovers. And first place goes to Bill Bunton for Spring and Fall.
I've already talked about photographing lantanas.
Okay.
I cheated on this. I cut this, I brought it in, mounted it up on the table, put good solid light on it, and shot it for a focus stack. I had issues with the stack going into the background. I could have made these leaves in the background the green tack sharp, but I chose to eliminate those images from the stack. And this is the result.
Okay. All right, people's choice. People's choice. Bronze is going to go to Gary Hook. Any other name?
Yeah, his name written on it. It's got your name written on it.
Got my name written on it, yeah. This was, I can't even remember where I took this. Anyways, it's an heirloom rose, that's the name. And it was done with a Lens Baby double glass 2 optic, with a disc to provide the lines in the background. I just like personally, I like the lines on the back of the rose petals, and that's what I was trying to focus on. Not much else was of interest to me, but I think he's got a good point about the bud in the foreground, bottom corner. I didn't really think about that, but yeah, I love my Lens Baby optics.
Okay. Silver goes to Dennis Bosserman for Assassin Beetle Puppet Show.
I got to admit, this is a weird shot. Every morning I walk around my backyard about 8:15 or 8 o'clock, because that's when the sun's just popping up. And this morning, the sun just happened to hit this spot. And I was focused on the assassin beetle and trying to get the light and manual focus and everything done. I didn't even see the ant down at the bottom holding and it's actually, he's got another, looks like another assassin beetle on upside down, but it was just a weird shot. And I love it though. I just like how weird it is. Yeah, I probably should have toned down the orange. That was an orange flower back behind, but anyway.
Okay. And gold also goes to Dennis Bosserman for Carpenter Bia.
This was taken out at McKinney Falls and last spring, and I must have chased that bee around for 10 minutes trying to get him in focus, and he wouldn't sit still for longer than just a few seconds, and trying to do manual focus and get everything just right was hard.
Well done. Okay. So that ends competitions for this year. That's it.
Did the audience enjoy the kibitzing up front here? Did it provide additional information for you? Was it enjoyable?
Yeah.
Dennis, you get to judge next year and you need to do some of this too. I just volunteered you. Any announcements we've missed?
Yeah, so we don't have any outings planned, other than probably doing, I schedule a holiday lights outing for my other group on the second Wednesday of December. So I will let everyone know about that. So it's a good time to go out. A lot of people like to complain about how cold it is. Usually when we get out, it's not, and usually have fun, even when it's a little drizzly. But keep that in mind that we'll go find a street with lots of lights on and have a good time taking pictures of light.
And Clay Laban here, membership coordinator. Just want to send a shout out to our newer members. So just this month, Jonathan Rocher, if I'm pronouncing that correct. Great, Jonathan, that you joined us. And let's see, we've got Mark Interante, who's here tonight. He's joined several months ago, but he's here in the room. So that's great, Mark. So if you do need to renew, keep watching your email. We do send out automatic email renewals. But if you joined in the beginning of last year, you'll be coming up pretty soon for renewals. So we look forward to that. Thanks a lot.
And one other thing, I was informed recently that it's the 30th annual Austin Powwow will be happening at the Travis Expo Center. And so I don't know how many Native Americans will be there, but if they do their dancing and they've got their costumes on, it's probably one of the few times that you can take pictures and not have them ostracize you. And so, oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. It's the 18th, Saturday, the 18th of November, from 9 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So it's an all-day event. So could be interesting. I used to go to them in Albuquerque, and they were huge. And so it'll be interesting to see what this one's going to look like. So I'm planning, and my wife are planning to go. So. I don't have. Do you have? Can we get a press pass? Oh.
We've gotten press pass before. I don't know how I got one, but I had one last time I shot. It's very helpful to have press pass if you can. I think if you contact the organization, they'll let you in as press. And then I think I gave them a print or some images in exchange. And it was nice to have they have sort of, I went many years ago, but it's still the same. It's kind of the same every year. They have a platform where if you're press, you can shoot on the platform, and it's nice to get a little height up so you can shoot kind of over the crowd. So if you can you might want to just contact the organization and see if you can get a press pass for it, because they didn't charge or anything. And it was, I went with a group, I want to say, and they said, we have 5 photographers, whatever. And we went there, we just checked in and they said, okay, yeah, here's creds. And we got creds for the day.
Okay.
If you can do that, that might be helpful. It is the other thing I'll tell you about it. The Expo Center it's almost like a gymnasium. There's a color balance issue. So be prepared to either shoot custom white balance or adjust in afterwards. Because I remember I had a lot of images that had that yellow gymnasium floor. If it's still indoors the way I think it's at the Expo Center still.
It's inside.
Yeah, and it's inside, and so it's got there's
Carol,
a
do those
color
lights change color? I've shot some big arena lights that shift between color.
I'm too old. My memory is failing. I may have shot it on film. On slide film, and that may be why I just remember I got a lot. It was like gymnasium floor, that orangey color, and it just kind of permeated. I mean, I corrected it afterwards, but
I was shooting dogs at Triple Crown, and every frame had a different color.
I was getting consistent color, but it was consistently that orangey gym floor kind of. I think most people know what I talk about when I say that, right? That's sort of
vapor color.
Probably got incandescent light.
Yeah.
I think they have mixed lighting and it doesn't match.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Thank you in a much more eloquent way. And it's got a very orange gymnasium floor, so it reflects a warm, an odd color. It has an odd color cast, so be prepared for that. Other than that, I mean, when I shot it last, it was a great event. So,
Yeah, one last thing, Precision Cameras having their fall expo next weekend, Friday and Saturday. It's going to be a lot of good speakers there, some members here, so just go free.
The email I got from Precision also had an event Thursday.
Yeah, there's an event Thursday night. Some Canon Explorer Light on concert photography that I won't be able to make it Thursday night. But he's also, I think, going to do a talk Friday also. So
You got to watch the 2 venues also.
yeah.
So read the schedule carefully.
But yeah, there's a lot of good speakers. I'm one of them. I think I'm stuck between Josh and Tim Babiak.
What a crew.
Yeah.
Josh is also going to be editing images.
Yes. 4 hours.
Yes, 2 hours each day. Bring.
No, 4 hours each day.
4 hours each day?
Yeah.
I didn't. Bring some of your raw files and let Josh show you how he would edit them. Just put them on a flashcard and bring them with you.
Thank you to the
Going
judges.
once. Oh, Clay?
Thank you to our judges and to Stephen Brkich.
Thank you, guys. I do appreciate it. Have a nice evening. Take care. Gary, Balloon Festival.
So real quick, so we had a great time at the Balloon Festival, the first 2 weekends in October. I think nobody who went is here tonight, so I want to have them talk about their experience a little bit rather than tell you what I think, because I've gone lots. That said, they were all happy they went. They had a good time. So we will try to, if there's interest for next year, which I already have some interest, try to coordinate another outing for next year. And with the experience that Alan and Nick had, you can get a better idea of what to plan for, which is why I want to hear from them rather than me telling you what they think. But we'll try to get that going very quickly again. Pardon? Yeah, I actually probably have a pretty good crowd already, so we'll get that going very quickly. Maybe if we find out if they're at the Christmas show, they can talk, or the Christmas party, they can talk a little bit at that point, maybe something like that. So sooner rather than later.
Yes.
So we'll see. But anyways, but yeah, it was fun. We had a good time, and out of the 9 days, the balloons went up 7 of them. There were only 2 bad days, so it worked out very well. So it was cool.
So maybe you guys, I don't know, first way to thought in, maybe you might be interested in doing like a slideshow of some of the images you all selected. So that you
Yeah,
can see,
I'll contact Alan and Nick and see if they want to share some stuff and maybe kind of stuff they did, because they did some different things I hadn't planned on, which was really great. They kind of explored, and so it was really cool to see what they came up with. So yeah.
Speakers. There's one of my speakers.
There you go.
Oh, I have another speaker. Gary will be speaking next year.
All right. Okay. Okay.
Cool.